In the 60s, two of the NFL's best were Green Bay and Cleveland. Vince Lombardi led the Packers to the best record in the 60s, while Cleveland possessed the best back by the name of Brown. Today, Coach Belichick has linebacker Pepper Johnson and wide receiver Andre Rison at his best, while Green Bay boasts Brett Favre and Robert Brooks as their best on offense, and Reggie White may be the best ever on defense. The Minister of Defense leads the best of Green Bay to Cleveland for the final time. Cleveland Municipal Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio, an interconference battle today between the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. Alongside Ron Fitz, I'm Tom Brenneman. Well, as the saying goes, there's no joy in Mudville, and there certainly, Ronnie, is no joy in Cleveland right now.
Yeah, I think the Browns ought to write a book called How to Put a Team in Disarray in 2 Easy Steps. First thing they do, mid-season quarterback change. Testaverde out, the rookie Zaire, he's in. Then they talk about a move to Baltimore. Later on, they announce the move to Baltimore. The fans are upset, the players are upset, and what you have here in Cleveland is one big unhappy situation.
Well, for more on this story, let's now go downstairs to Pam Oliver.
Well, Tom, security will be very tight today. We're even told some police bomb squad members will be on hand. Hundreds of Browns fans took part in a rally and march in downtown Cleveland today. They say they're going to stay outside until 15 minutes after kickoff. Then they'll come in where they will cheer the Browns, but they will definitely jeer owner Art Modell.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. A dramatically different story in Green Bay. A huge win last week over Chicago, and now they're in first in the Central.
Yeah, big reason for it, quarterback Brett Favre. 5 touchdown passes last week against Chicago. He's got a hold of this offense. But you talk about a guy who's got a hold of people, Reggie White on defense. He's got the hurt knee, but the Browns can't let that affect them. They got to keep that guy out of their backfield if they want to have success today.
All right, we'll see how it goes when we come back. The kickoff from Cleveland, the Packers and the Browns. You're watching the NFL on Fox.
You're watching the NFL on Fox.
Crowd coming into Cleveland Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio. The Packers and the Browns meeting for the final time in this northern Ohio city. Mike Holmgren, his team comes in thanks to a tiebreaker ahead of Chicago after the big win last week at Lambeau Field. Meanwhile, for Bill Belichick, 4-6 this season, 2 behind the Steelers after losing at Pittsburgh on Monday night. Green Bay has won the toss, selected to receive, and Matt Stover will put it in play. Antonio Freeman, Travis Jerby waiting back. It'll be Freeman at the 10. And he's out across the 30, out to the 35. So Freeman, who had big returns last week in the win over Chicago, gives Green Bay good field position. Brett Favre, absolutely remarkable last week. You see him limping just a little bit, still being bothered by the ankle injury suffered 2 weeks ago, but last week you'd never know he was hurt. 5 touchdown passes, 336 yards, did not throw an interception.
And we'll have to watch him because he did go in early from pregame warm-ups to possibly get that ankle retaped, so we'll keep a close eye.
Favre comes out throwing. Dumps it off across the middle. Catch made by Robert Brooks, who is having a huge season. Stopped there by Pepper Johnson. Well, Favre in his 5th season out of Southern Mississippi. Already this season, 4 300-yard passing days. Good pass protecting group. Rutgers, Taylor, Winters, Galbraith, and Dotson the right tackle. Edgar Bennett in line for a 1,000-yard rushing season, joined by Levens in the backfield. Morgan and Brooks the wideouts. Shimura the tight end. Gain of 6, 2nd and 4 for the Pack. And out of the I formation, they'll give it to Edgar Bennett. He'll be well shy of the first down, crossing the 40, maybe to the 41. It'll bring up 3rd down and a long 3. Penalty flags down on the field.
Sean Adams, 43, came into that pile kind of late. They might have got him for it.
Bernie Kukar, our referee today.
Unnecessary roughness, number 43 on the defense. That's a 15-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, but Sean Adams, he's the rookie. He's getting a start today, first time out of the box. starting for Dana Hall at free safety. So, you know, his gears are already turning. In fact, he probably played the first quarter in the hotel as it is.
So an automatic first down. Ball placed at the Cleveland 44. 1st and 10 Packers. Play fake. Up top. Looking for Brooks, and it's slightly overthrown. Covered very well. Helping late was Vashon Adams. Antonio Langham will draw the coverage of Brooks today. Cleveland defensively struggling from a season ago. Pleasant and Burnett, the bookend ends. It'll be in the middle, Footman and Goad. The linebackers Caldwell, Johnson, and Carl Banks. And in the secondary, Griffin and Langham, the corners. Moore and Hall, who was originally the starter, replaced by Adams. Of course, Cleveland minus their all-pro safety, Eric Turner. But what a big absence that has been. Fumble. Still scrambling for the football, and it looked like Edgar Bennett, who initially juggled the handoff, was able to cover it up.
You know, that makes me go back to one thing that Mike Holmgren told us yesterday. If we have no turnovers, we will definitely win this game. And coming right out of the box, Edgar Bennett doesn't look like he really ever got the ball. And you talk about lucky. Packers extremely lucky to get that return.
Hey, turnover, man, turnover.
Keith Jackson checks in for Mike Holmgren's team, along with Dorsey Levens in the backfield on a 3rd down and 9. He needs to get to the Cleveland 34. Barr, down he goes, and the ball is intercepted. Inside the 30, all the way down to the 28 is Tim Goad. And it was jarred loose by Anthony Pleasant, applying the pressure on Brett Favre. 22 yards on the return by Goad.
And I look at Favre right now going off the field. He's got a little bit of a limp. But the pressure's going to come from the left side, 98 Pleasant. And the pocket collapses. Watch Pleasant right there. He gets that hand up. And Goad, talk about being in the right place. And once again, let's go back to what Mike Holmgren said. You know, this is a team that's -7 in the giveaway, takeaway, turnover ratio. That's about the bottom of the NFC. He said we need takeaways. We got to avoid the turnovers. Already one turnover.
Cleveland in business at the Green Bay 28. Rookie quarterback Eric Zier takes over 1st and 10. And a handoff to Leroy Horde, and not much room. Green Bay shutting down Horde for maybe a gain of 1. Let's go back to the interception a moment ago.
Once again, the pocket collapses. He steps up, but watch Pleasant right there. And that's in the throwing motion. Now, if that ball hits the ground, it'll still remain Green Bay's ball. It's an incomplete pass. But Goad just happens to be in the right place at the right time.
Goad, the free agent coming over from New England, trying to fill the shoes of Michael Dean Perry here in Cleveland. 2nd down. And this time the turn is Biner. And again, not much running room. Maybe got back to the original line of scrimmage. Offensively for Cleveland, the rookie quarterback Eric Zier making his 4th start this season in place of Vinny Testaverde. Testaverde was having a fine year, and many wonder why he's not still the quarterback. A huge offensive line. 4 free agents. The lone exception is Everett. Biner and Horde in the backfield. Jackson, Andre Rison in the wide receivers. Kinchin is the tight end. 3rd down and 10 for the Browns. Zier steps up and can't connect the intended receiver, Ernest Biner. So this Cleveland offense, Ronnie, did not gain a 1st down in the entire 2nd half last Monday night at Pittsburgh. 3 and out here on its opening possession after the turnover.
And you know, one thing that they did that you have to do against Eric Zier, who is maybe 6 foot, he's more like 5'11", is make him stay in the pocket and throw. I really believe that time he couldn't get a clear vision shot of Biner and made a bad throw as a result of it when he had to step up.
46-yard field goal try by Matt Stover. Puts the leg into it. Plenty of distance and plenty good. So Stover is hit on 20 of 23. He's been a bright spot for the Browns this season, and Cleveland takes an early 3-0 advantage.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. Drivers wanted. By Coors Light, shipped cold to preserve the clean taste of the Rockies. Coors Light, tap the Rockies. By Pizza Hut, home of stuffed crust pizza. And by Microsoft. Where do you want to go today?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just opening here in Cleveland, Ohio. And well, the Browns fans have something to cheer about early on. Brett Favre intercepted by Tim Goad after the initial pressure was applied in the pocket. And it sets up a Matt Stover 46-yard field goal. Cleveland, an early 3-0 lead. Antonio Freeman from his own 15. And tripped up. Good coverage by the Browns. Out to the 25. Edge center on the tackle, and here comes the Green Bay offense.
I think one thing that this team has to worry about is not being a little disarrayed by what's going on with Cleveland and the move and all that. The Browns don't have to establish a run. Green Bay has had trouble stopping the run as far as their defenses. They're maintaining the concentration. It's been hard for them to go through a full game and not worry about the stuff off the field and play football. The Packers, turnovers, we've seen that already. And stifle the run early. Put the pressure on a young Eric Zeier to make the ball go downfield through the air.
Edgar Bennett crosses a 30, close to a 4-yard gain, tripped up by Stephon Moore. Well, Edgar Bennett already 677 yards rushing this season, a career high. He needs to average about 54 yards per game over the last 6 weeks to become the Packers' first 1,000-yard rusher since Terdell Middleton in 1978. Favre on a 2nd and 6. Good enough for a first down on the pass to Robert Brooks out to the 38-yard line. So they'll move the chains for Green Bay. Brooks 3 consecutive 100-yard receiving games. And one more, and he will set the team record. Originally set by James Lofton and Don Hudson. He has 5 100-yard receiving games this season. Flags come down on the play on the give to Edgar Bennett, who crossed the 40. And we'll wait to hear from Bernie Kukar.
Okay, now they got more flags. Somebody must have done some jaw jacking on the sideline over there.
So they'll move the Packers back the other way. Pepper Johnson, you see him, he likes to talk a great deal. 10th-year player out of Ohio State, and a lot of people think he's out there trash talking, Ronnie, but he is doing everything he can just to inspire this Cleveland team, which, needless to say, very much right now down in the dumps.
Well, Pepper coming from Belichick's regime over with the Giants there, and he's probably the only solid player, I think, in that defense. You got Carl Banks, but Carl's getting up there a little bit, and really one of the only guys that's playing with the kind of energy that Belichick wants and needs is that man right there.
Men on the field, on the offense. The penalty is declined. 2nd down.
Mike Holmgren got caught a little bit in the substitution situation there. You know, like I was talking about earlier, Tom, the one thing the Packers have to guard against is you come down here, as soon as you get off the plane, the first thing you hear is about the Browns and the move, okay? And you walk into the stadium, the advertising signs all down, and the place really looks scary. And they have to get that out of their mind and remember, hey, this is a team that's going to play football, and we got to show up and play football.
Now they decline the penalty, so 2nd and 7 for Green Bay. Down the middle, wide open. And plenty good enough for a first down is Dorsey Levens, and he's dropped all the way to the Cleveland 39. Well, let's send it to Hollywood for a McDonald's game break and James Brown.
All right, Tom. Giants, flea flicker. Yes, indeed. Starting strong. Thomas Lewis got the safety to bite. Scores his first career touchdown. Giants on top of the Eagles. 7-0 in the first. Back to Tom and Ron.
All right, JB, 3-0 Cleveland here in the opening quarter. 9:12 to play. 20-yard gain on the completion. Favre to Levens and back to the ground, and Edgar Bennett, and not much there. He may be picked up 2.
See, Green Bay is a team that uses the pass to set up the run, and that's completely opposite how most people do it. So, you know, we asked Edgar Bennett last night, do you wish you could run more? He said, I know in this offense I won't run more because it's not set up like that. What I wish I could do is catch more balls. And that's the one thing that Brett Favre has done a great job of this year, is spreading the ball around.
Well, Bennett last season led all NFL running backs, 78 receptions. Second down carry to Bennett. Spins away from a couple of tackles, and he appears to have a first down to the Cleveland 28.
They're working on Burnett and even Pleasant on the backside. You remember how fast those guys were coming up the field when they got the sack and the fumble on Favre in the first series. Well, that plays right against their own strength when you run that draw play. You invite them in, and then you suck them in and go right up the middle.
Well, they've asked for a measurement. Needed to get just across the 30, it appeared, and he does indeed have a Green Bay first down.
Now, we wondered if we'd see a lot of blitzing coming from Cleveland to throw off the timing of this West Coast style of offense, because that is the one thing that Brett Favre is doing a great job of as well, and that's timing. Everything he's doing is on rhythm. And I think in the last couple of years, he hasn't quite had that down. He was almost there, but now he's got the rhythm. And they need to do something on defense, whether it's disguise or coverage or blitz people, to disrupt that rhythm.
4 receivers set for the Packers. Play fake, and to the end zone. And Robert Brooks appeared to have made the reception, but they say no. Broken up by Antonio Langham.
Talking about the rhythm and the timing. Great throw by Favre. Brooks looks to have control of the ball. We'll see from this angle, but watch Langham coming from the right. There he is right there. See, Brooks does not get a chance to get both feet down and demonstrate possession. And that's the difference between an incomplete pass and a touchdown.
And
that's
he
a
was
great
open.
play. And he was open. and it was a great throw, and everybody was where they're supposed to be, but a great play also by Antonio Langham, the corner.
2nd and 10, and again, Favre to throw. Escapes trouble for the time being, but more on the way, and Favre dropped behind the line of scrimmage by Dan Footman. And we brought up the mobility, or perhaps lack thereof. Brett Favre and his left ankle, badly injured 2 weeks ago in Minnesota.
Footman moved down inside. He's number 78. He moved down inside in training camp, played on the outside last year. But I think that's just a good job by the coverage downfield for the Browns. Favre has no place to go with the ball. The rush wasn't on him right away. He just had to get out of the pocket.
Loss of 2, 3rd and 12. Short drop. Catch made. And will it be good enough for the first down to Anthony Morgan?
It depends on where they mark it. See if they get a good mark.
Now Morgan over there lobbying a bit.
Right here. That's Morgan working on Thomas. And he swims him. You see that swim move? Just enough to give him separation inside.
It is good enough for a first down. So Green Bay on the move after an early turnover. Favre intercepted. Tim Goad returning, setting up for a Matt Stover field goal. But now 1st and 10 Packers at the Cleveland 19. Bennett carries down to the 12. Stop made by Louis Riddick, 4th-year pro out of Pitt.
Well, we talked about the Packers on defense having their problems against the rush. Well, guess what? The Cleveland Browns 22nd in the NFL versus the rush, giving up an average of 121 yards per game, 4.2 a carry. That is way too much. You've got serious problems if you're giving up 4.2 a carry. And Tom, I got to go back and think about Michael Dean Perry. I think they missed him, and the big safety man inside, Eric Turner. He's out with an injury.
2nd and 4. And Bennett will be stopped shy of the first down. Needed to get to the 9, so it'll bring up 3rd down for the Packers. Wait, you know, you bring up the Cleveland defense, and Ronnie, this group, absolutely sensational a season ago, allowed a franchise low 204 points, but in 9 home games, the Cleveland defense allowed 8 touchdowns all year.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about, that kind of thing. And, you know, nobody wants to use free agency as an excuse, and you think, well, I can replace this guy and I can draft this guy and all that, but it doesn't work out, and those numbers show that. You get hurt by it.
3rd and 2. Barr throws incomplete. Flags rain down from the end zone, and this could be interference against Cleveland. Holding against the Browns. So that'll be a first down for Green Bay, and they'll be inside the Cleveland 10.
Holding, number 90 on the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That's Rob Burnett, number 90. Let's check it out, see what happened. He'll be on the left right there. See, he grabs just as Keith is getting out over the middle. And really a stupid play because he had Pepper Johnson running step for step with Keith Jackson in the middle. Those are the kind of penalties that kill you.
1st and goal, Packers at the Cleveland 6. Barr just throws it off and caught into the end zone. Touchdown, Dorsey Levens.
Brett Favre made that play. That touchdown belongs to Brett Favre. The way he avoided right there at the last minute and got that throw off on the bootleg was great. But then you look at the way Mike Holmgren's talking to him. He's going to come out right in your face here, and Burnett's got him. And there's Dixon. Now that's a guy that's got a hurt ankle, making a move like that. And a good second effort, good way to put your head down by Levens and getting the touchdown.
Well, the Brett Favre legend continues to grow in Green Bay. Extra point is good by Chris Jackie. So after the turnover, Cleveland field goal by Matt Stover, but the Packers drive down the field, and Brett Favre has put his team in front.
You know, great athletes make great plays, and this is why you got to have one in your quarterback position. Now, on the bootleg, the way it's drawn up, Favre's got to beat one guy, and that's what he does. And this is just a great effort by Dorsey Levens of punching that ball in there and scooping it up off the turf. He made a pretty good shortstop, huh?
Well, Levens has been a very good find for the Green Bay Packers. More on him later. Hendrick set to kick it off. Ernest Hunter, 23. Ernest Biner, 21. Way back. There's a look at the Green Bay drive. Hunter from his own 7. Takes a lick. Stays on his feet. Wow. Tries to lean out to the 30. Flags down on the field. Matt LaBounty made the initial hit on Hunter. LaBounty, of course, got the start last week in place of Reggie White. And Cleveland guilty of holding.
Well, that's one thing that Bill Belichick talked to us about, is that we got to stop the penalty.
Holding, number 54 on the return team, on the run back. It's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
And now take a look at what happens as we look at Bill Belichick there. You know, that pushes you back, and now you've got to take a struggling offense and go that much farther.
Reggie White. First back on the 5th against Minnesota. In the 4th quarter, collision with Sean Jones. Torn ligaments in his knee. A heroic effort last week in the win over Chicago, and back in there today. Eric Zeier on a 1st and 10. Throws to the near side to Michael Jackson. Terrific open field tackle made by George Koontz. Defensively for Green Bay, Gilbert Brown starting in place of the rookie Darius Holland. Jones and White, the ends. Jurkovich joining Brown. Linebackers Coon Strickland and Wayne Simmons trying to fill the shoes of Bryce Paup. Doug Evans, the rookie Craig Newsome, the cornerbacks. Teague and Butler, the safeties. Andre Rison in motion on a 2nd and 9. They give us to Lorenzo White, and he's out to the 21. White has been used very little since signing as a free agent from Houston during the offseason.
And now comes up the situation for the Browns where they have been absolutely horrendous, is moving the chains on 3rd down. You know, you got a rookie quarterback in there, and he's got so much to think about and worry about. When we look down there, somebody is being attended to for the Packers. Fred Strickland.
Strickland coming off a big game against Chicago when he had 8 tackles. And so the Green Bay medical staff out to take a look at Strickland. We'll take a break. 3rd down for Cleveland when we return. Back in Cleveland, Ohio. 7-3, Green Bay leading. Browns from their own 21 facing a 3rd down and 5. Zayers, short drop, throws. What a collision out at the 23-yard line. Up to make the tackle, Lenny McGill, and denied is Cleveland for the 1st down. So you want to be a wide receiver, you might want to think again. You remember those days, don't you?
Yeah, those are the kind of hits you pray for right there. When a guy's got his back turned to you, you can get a running start and break his face mask for him.
Ernest Biner making that reception, couldn't go anywhere, so Cleveland 2 yards short of a 1st down, having to punt. Tom Tupa. Very high kick, and it's Freeman, dropped immediately at the 31-yard line by Tim Jacobs. Well, Thursday, start off your Thanksgiving when Garth Brooks makes a special appearance on America's #1 pregame show, followed by a crucial NFC Central matchup, the Vikings and the Lions. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. 7-3, Green Bay in front of Cleveland here in the opening quarter with 2:53 left. Edgar Bennett off to a very good start rushing the football here today. He's out close to the 40, a gain of nearly 7.
Well, if you ever need a good movie to rent, you don't have to go to a video store. Go to Edgar Bennett, because that's his hobby. He collects all the different movies and everything. So,
yeah, Bennett, a collection of better than 300 in his home. I'm sure a neighborhood favorite is Edgar Bennett. Very good crowd here at Cleveland Stadium today. They sold in excess of 70,000 tickets. Weren't sure how many would show up. Favre on a 2nd and 4 sets up the screen to Bennett. And it's good enough for a 1st down out to the 45. Gerald Dixon making the tackle, and that play unquestionably, Ron, the best in the Packer arsenal.
Yeah, right. For the Packers right now, they run the screen play better than any team in the NFL. And that's a little bit of that Bill Walsh stuff coming from San Francisco that you see in Mike Holmgren right now. And the thing that they do that makes it so good is that they get blocks on the perimeter with their offensive linemen. Those guys, how many times have you seen a screen and a lineman go out there and miss a guy? Every single time. Mike says, I'll embarrass them in practice if they don't get blocked. They get blocks and it shows. It moves the chain.
Here comes the reverse. Nope, they fake it. Edgar Bennett cuts it to the outside, crosses midfield into Cleveland territory to the 49, where he's tripped up by Stephon Moore. Already 10 rushes, 40 yards for Edgar Bennett.
See, that's a great play to come back with, because you know, you heard everybody talking about reverse. Well, they all forgot about the fact that Bennett could hold on to the football and still run it. Then he got some great blocks on the outside. This is the kind of situation that the Browns defense, they have been in a lot, and they need to get out of. They don't know what to expect next from the offense. Is it run? Is it pass? Is it reverse? Is it screen? That's called being put in the mix.
2nd and 3, Bennett again. Tries to cut it back to the inside. Short of the first down. Coming up to make the tackles, Don Griffin. Well, while we have a moment, let's go downstairs. Joining us today, Pam Oliver. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Tom. Well, the Packers middle linebacker, Fred Strickland, has suffered a strained left knee. He will not return. That, of course, does not bode well for the Packers' struggling defense against the run. Back to you guys.
Nice to have Pam with us here today.
Sure is, and she's absolutely right. That does not bode well. And I know everybody's hearing it, but another thing that doesn't bode well for your struggling run defense is the fact that a guy named Bryce Paup isn't there anymore and doing quite well in Buffalo.
Very well, thank you. Favre asking for a timeout. Well, we saw Bryce Paup and the Buffalo Bills roll over Atlanta last week to head into first place in the AFC East. So Favre and the Packers facing a 3rd and 4. What a win that was last week, Ronnie, getting back to Brett Favre and the Packers over the Chicago Bears. A wild game, 35-28. I think that Vince Lombardi and George Halas may have been turning in their graves for the lack of defense in that game.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny, you talk to Mike Holmgren in the meetings that we have on Saturday night, and when you ask him about Brett Favre, he smiles now. He doesn't duck his head and go, and take that big breath. It's all good now, and it's good because finally Brett has gotten a hold of the offense, and it's all about the rhythm and timing of it.
Well, they seemed like the perfect family, but beneath the lies, beneath the secrets, lies the shocking truth. Hallmark Entertainment and Fox present a world premiere motion picture. Susan Day and Sam Elliott star in Blue River on the Fox Tuesday night movie.
Take a look at Reggie there, and you know, here's a man that's got a torn ligament in his knee, and what he did to Big Cat Williams is just should be x-rated. I mean, they should show that in some parts of the country to certain people under a certain age.
On a 3rd and 4, final play of the first quarter. Favre steps up, throws across the middle. The reception made by Keith Jackson. Jackson, his 5th catch of the season last week against Chicago, made 3 receptions, 2 of them for first downs. His first reception here gives the Packers a first down, a 23-yard gain. Packers lead at the end of the first quarter. Well, we're back in Cleveland, Ohio, alongside Ron Fitz. I'm Tom Brenneman with our entire Fox crew, and we may be smiling here in the booth, but certainly not many smiles these days right now in Cleveland, Ronnie.
Yeah, you know, and today what they were going to do is have the protest march, and they would come in 15 minutes after the kickoff, and as you can see, the people outside, that's part of that march. But you know, when you really know things are going bad in Cleveland, when the mascot decides to hand his head in. Now, last week, he resigned. He said, I've had enough. That's when you know that things are pretty much going downhill for you.
And that certainly is the case. Art Modell, well, breaking many Clevelanders' hearts. The Browns will be moving at the end of this season and moving to Baltimore. It's been a very rough situation for a city that has so wonderfully supported its team all these many years in Cleveland. 1st and 10, the pitch to Edgar Bennett. And he's down to the 25 on a 1st and 10 carry. Tripped up by Pepper Johnson. Well, some of the numbers from the first quarter, and the Cleveland offense continues to really struggle.
Yeah, and the problem here, as we look at the Packers offense doing quite well, is that the possession. And that's what Bill Belichick said yesterday. We got to hold on to the ball. We got to move the ball downfield. And they haven't done that. They haven't done it in the past, and they haven't done it in this last quarter.
2nd and 7 across the middle to Levens, who had a touchdown earlier in the game, and he has another Green Bay first down to the Cleveland 16. Dixon and Caldwell converge on the tackle.
See, just appreciate the mix now that Mike Holmgren has this team on. You know, it's a run here, it's a reverse here, and now when the throwing starts, we've seen both tight ends involved, we've seen 2 wide receivers involved, we've seen both backs involved. I mean, that is what this West Coast style of offense has to do. That's what you saw in San Francisco with Taylor and Rice and Craig and all the guys, Jones. You've got to use your weapons, and the Packers are starting to use their weapons.
1st and 10 at the Cleveland 17, and they set up the screen, but read beautifully as Jackson makes the reception. But Mike Caldwell and Gerald Dixon are able to come over and make the stop on Jackson.
No gain on the play.
You know, now here's the screen, and I want you to watch these two guys right here, because they're going to influence the rush, and that's the whole deal, and that's why it works so good once you've had the run or the pass going, and you get these guys used to coming upfield, and nobody sees these guys out here. But more importantly, that right there. Those guys have to get blocked. If they get whipped, it doesn't do anybody any good. They got to put people on their back.
Second and 10, dropped off to Brooks, and he's inside the 10 to the Cleveland 7. That's where he needed to get for a first down. Pepper Johnson took him down, but is it good enough for another Green Bay first down?
And I go back once again to Michael Dean Perry. I don't see the rush anymore in this Cleveland Brown team. It's just not there. And you say, well, one guy leaving doesn't hurt it. Well, yeah, it does, because when Michael Dean left, that means they had to take Dan Footman from an outside guy and put him down inside. Okay, and now Rob Burnett has been getting a lot of double teams.
Third and the yard. Power of football. First down, Dorsey Levens inside the 5 to the Cleveland 3. Boy, this Packer offense not known as having much of a running game, but they're doing plenty of that here today on Cleveland.
Yeah, and the reason they're doing it, watch this. Watch the low men. All the green shirts. Look at the push that time by Aaron Taylor, 73. He's still pushing on his man. And that's exactly where Dorsey Levens runs.
First down and goal to go, Green Bay.
13 carries, 48 yards for the Packer rushing attack. First and goal. Walked it into the end zone. Touchdown, Chmura. No penalty flags on the field. Well, Brett Favre, who had 5 touchdown passes in the win last week, 2 already today.
Watch Mark Chmura. He's right there. He's going to come down and block and then release out. That's the problem, because when a linebacker sees him block, he's thinking run. Louis Riddick, the safety, he saw him block, he thought it was run, and he's wrong.
Chris Jackie on to try and give his team a 14-3 lead. And he does. So 14 unanswered points by Green Bay after Cleveland took an early 3-0 lead.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. By Snickers. Hungry? Why wait? By the Braun Flex Integral for Braun's closest shave yet. And by Aptiva, the home computer from IBM. Welcome to the future.
What's happening in downtown Cleveland? The Great Lakes Science Center, located right next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, will open later this year. What's not happening is the Cleveland offense trailing Green Bay 14-3. Hendricks spins it away. Ernest Hunter from the goal line. And he only brings it out to the 15. Tripped up by Travis Jervey.
Now, the thing, going back to that touchdown, the thing that made it work, watch the play action. Watch both backs take off in this direction. And if you're Cleveland, you got to be thinking it's a run. And Louis Riddick, number 42, who had the coverage right there, he actually takes a couple steps down. Watch him right here, Louis Riddick. He's going to run down the line toward the play. See that? See those 3 steps right there? That's all Chmura needed to get enough room to make the catch.
So now the Cleveland offense, which has struggled in a supreme way the last few weeks. See the second half against the Steelers, 10 yards in the second half without a first down. Tommy Vardell checking into the game. Has only been active 3 games this season after a season-ending knee injury last year.
See, this is the beginning of the problems now for Cleveland. When they get down to the run and they get stifled like that, pretty soon they got to go to the air. And that's when the pressure gets on a rookie like Zier. As good as he is, as positive as he's been in some areas, that's where the pressure starts.
Zier to throw on a 2nd and 8. Looking downtown for Jackson, and it's broken up. George Teague coming over to get a hand in front of the intended receiver, Jackson. Well, the Cleveland offense, their woes cannot be better illustrated than this.
Yeah, and you know, you talk about all this stuff here, and you see that, and that looks good, but here's the bottom line of when you don't move the ball down the field.
And Bill Belichick looking for answers. He believes his team is not quite dead in the water this season and contending for the Central Division Championship. And a play blown dead as Green Bay called for a timeout just before what would have been a 3rd and 8. So we'll take a break and be right back to Cleveland. 14-3 Green Bay. The city and the mayor here in Cleveland, Mike White, filing a lawsuit trying to keep the name Browns, claiming it belongs to the city and the fans. Art Modell apparently has every intention of not only moving to Baltimore, but calling the team the Baltimore Browns. 3rd and 8 for Cleveland. Good protection, steps up, throws incomplete. The intended receiver, Michael Jackson, blanket coverage again by Lenny McGill. 3 and out again for Cleveland.
Coverage by Lenny McGill.
Well, it's time for our Aflac trivia question. Since 1960, who is the only Packer to lead the NFL in touchdown passes? Give you a moment or two to think about that. For the punt, Antonio Freeman stands at his own 40. Short kick. Freeman from the 42. Slips a couple of tackles. Crosses midfield to the Cleveland 49. Frank Stamms able to make the stop after a 39-yard punt from Tupa. Green Bay gets the ball leading 14-3. Back at Cleveland Stadium, 14-3 Green Bay, and after an early interception on a tip ball off the hands of Brett Favre, this Packer offense has been terrific.
Yeah, and they've been terrific once again because Brett Favre has the key to it, which is rhythm, throwing on time. And another thing is they're spreading it around. The Browns don't know who is going to get the ball next. They don't know who to put a double cover on or who to have somebody lock on.
1st and 10. Bennett has been a busy man, picking up big yardage today. He's to the Cleveland 44.
Tackle by Carl Banks.
Yeah, there's a look at it right there. 6 to the wide receivers, 4 to the tight ends, 4 to the running backs. Boy, I mean, that you can't ask for anything better than that just after a quarter and a half of play. I got to believe Mike Holmgren is very happy at that spread around.
Well, you brought up earlier, Holmgren told us yesterday if his team did not turn the ball over, he guaranteed a win.
He sure did.
Packers have turned it over, but not many mistakes since then. Favre escapes trouble, able to drop it off to William Henderson, and the rookie out of North Carolina is close to yet another Packer first down to the Cleveland 40.
Henderson's the guy out for all 4 preseason games with torn cartilage in the knee. And really, the staff really didn't know what they would get from him when it came down to the regular season. But what they got is a guy that can catch out of the backfield, but they also got a great blocker. I mean, he will run you over and then laugh about it.
3rd down and 1 yard.
Well, a yard short on the reception was Henderson, so 3rd and 1. Come right at your first down for Dorsey Levens.
Dorsey Levens, the ball
For the second time on a 3rd and 1 that Cleveland cannot stop the Packers, and they'll move the chains. 14-3 Green Bay, 8:45 to go until halftime. Pepper Johnson, the first man to greet Brett Favre. Theo Sagapulitelli also in on the Heat. Well, our Aflac trivia question answer, Lynn Dickey, who threw for 32 touchdowns to lead the NFL in 1983. And that was his favorite target, James Lofton.
Just think that was just the beginning back there of his career in a sense. When he went to Buffalo, he really turned it up a notch.
Four receivers on a 2nd and 10, and they run it to Edgar Bennett. Picked up close to 5, so it'll bring up another 3rd down for the Green Bay offense. Caldwell and Footman on the stop.
I think the Browns have to get back to what they just did 2 plays ago. They brought the blitz. They brought Pepper Johnson inside with Dixon. And that's what they have to do, because we talked about how well Brett Favre is working with rhythm and timing. And you got to throw that timing off somehow. I would expect to see more of that as the game goes on.
3rd down and 6. Juggling catch and diving, trying to get the first down is a rookie, Antonio Freeman.
Hey, great effort.
And it depends on the spot.
He's actually hit well short of the 1st down, but then he lunges forward, extends the ball, and he might have picked it up just off that 2nd effort.
Well, you brought up the name Antonio Freeman to Mike Holmgren last night, and Holmgren thinks that not only is Freeman already a very good return man, but believes he will be a terrific wide receiver down the road.
Well, the thing he said about Antonio Freeman was the guy has no fear, and he's short, but that's still a great effort. Now a big decision for Mike Holmgren.
Well, they twice made it on 3rd and 1, and on 4th and 1, here come the big bodies. The Packers are going to go. Three tight ends check in along with the blocking back William Henderson on 4th and less than a yard. And it is a Packer first down.
Dorsey Levens, the ball carrier.
Well, while we have a moment, let's send it back to Hollywood. James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Well, I tell you what, Atlanta loves the combination, Jeff George and Terrence Mathis. This is the 2nd hookup of the day for these guys, capping a 91-yard drive. Atlanta fighting for the top spot in the West, leading at 14-0. Back to you.
Yeah, JB, Atlanta's for real. You know, they went up there and lost a tough one to Buffalo, but they played well in a hostile environment. And I think the Rams realize that.
There's a 3-way tie atop the NFC West. Atlanta, St. Louis, and the 49ers. Edgar Bennett skips his way inside the 25, pushed out of bounds at the 23 against Pepper Johnson. And Johnson, the man making all the plays defensively right now for Cleveland.
Yeah, he is, and you're right. You see one guy that's really all over the field. Like I think that Banks has kind of lost a step and so on and so forth. And on the other side, they just don't have the people they've had there in the past. And they may be, as Don Griffin comes hobbling out now. Now, this may be somewhat of a, I'll say it is a rebuilding stage defensively for the Cleveland Browns, no doubt about it.
Tim Jacobs comes in to replace the injured Griffin. And a timeout called by Favre and the Packers. Their final timeout of the half, 5:53 to play. It's been all Green Bay. 14-3 Green Bay. Packers with the football deep in Cleveland territory. Problems continue to mount for Bill Belichick and the Browns.
Yeah, they do. And just then, Don Griffin, the corner, comes out. But, you know, it's not just on the field problems. It's hard to get away from the off the field problems, too, with the move and everything.
2nd down and 8. Far from the end zone. And overthrows Anthony Morgan.
Very smart. What did they do? They went right after the fresh meat that just came in. Tim Jacobs lines up at that corner position him, so they're going to check him out. Favre there's hobbling just a little bit on that ankle now. Let's check out the rush. Here's Anthony Pleasant working on Ken Rutgers, and Ken Rutgers is not going to give up. It looks like he got his foot stepped on just as he released the ball.
Well, that's what happened when he originally injured the ankle against Minnesota. Stepped on by his own man, Aaron Taylor, the left guard. Favre had to leave that game in a heartbreaking defeat for Favre and the Packers, but he returned to lead them to victory over the Bears last weekend. Third down reception, good enough for a first down to Robert Brooks. And Brett Favre, the #1 passer in all the NFL on third down, where he has hit nearly 62% of his passes.
Right up top here, the one-on-one situations. Look at the room. You know, you're not going to give a guy like Brooks that much room. And then Langham turns to get deep, but he still comes back and is there when the ball gets there. Langham's trying to play this game with 2 dislocated thumbs. So it's going to be hard for him to get a bump and run on the line of scrimmage.
First and 10 at the 14. Wide open and a touchdown, Anthony Morgan. No penalty flags on the play.
Yeah, Tim Jacobs, the corner, he slipped down. Morgan went to the corner on him.
Well, right now, Ronnie, this is no contest. The Green Bay offense against the Cleveland defense.
I want you to watch the matchup here and watch Tim Jacobs. Watch the way he slips right there. Boy, you think they don't know when some new meat comes in?
That's the idea.
They try to slice them and dice them up real fast.
5:04 to play until halftime. Cleveland got a Matt Stover field goal early in the first quarter after an interception. But now 21 unanswered points by Green Bay, and the Packers have been most impressive offensively here today, a 21-3 advantage.
You know, you talk about Tim Jacobs there as we look at Brett Favre. Now, he is a veteran. He's been around for 3 years. You know, it's not like he's a rookie or anything like that. And if Don Griffin's out there, I don't think they're going to get that touchdown as easy. And when you got a guy like Brett Favre, you know, he's got the hurt ankle and all that, but this offense works for him because he's got to get rid of everything fast. So you don't have to leave him back there. He doesn't have to worry about scrambling around and taking as many hits. The ball is out of there fast, and with the way his ankle is, that's in his favor. And when you sit on the phone with that smile on your face, you know things are going good, because usually that's a frown.
Well, the way this Cleveland Browns offense has been going, you wonder, Ron, if they can find a way to get things in gear and mount some kind of charge to climb back into this game. Hedrick boots it away. Ernest Hunter from his own 5. Big seam, and he crosses the 30. Out to the 31. And the stop made by Marcus Wilson.
First down, Browns at their own.
Well, we'd like to remind you that coming up tonight on Fox, as always, another big edition that you will not, by any circumstances, want to miss. Space Above and Beyond, our Sunday night movie. First down. And a big hole for Leroy Horde. He's out across the 40 to the 42, and that could be the first down for the Cleveland Browns today, and it is.
You know, and there's Don Griffin. He's being taken off. But that's the run game that they got to get into. They have the ability to run the ball. They got people up front that can move you. But it's been a run, then it's something bad. They've never been able to stay in it.
Cleveland did not have a first down in the entire second half against Pittsburgh. And here's another big hole. Leroy Horde banged out of bounds at midfield by Wayne Simmons. So Horde, a Pro Bowler a season ago, who rushed for almost 900 yards, made 45 receptions, but only 400 yards rushing this year.
The big deal right here, I want you to watch the combination block between Orlando Brown and Brian Kitchen on Reggie White. Now that's Orlando Brown on Reggie White, and that enables Horde to dump it outside just fast enough to get a few yards. But like we said, they got to control Reggie, because Reggie is just not a force in the pass. He's also a force in the run.
Well, they measure for the first down, maybe an inch short.
Here it is, one-on-one, Orlando Brown. We asked Reggie, what do you know about Orlando? He said he's big. And we can barely see Reggie behind there. But those are the kind of things, those are the kind of plays they have to make. They got to slow down Reggie, keep him out of the backfield, and give people a chance to get some running things going outside and inside.
I should say Orlando Brown is big. 6'7", 340 pounds. He was a premature baby, 3 pounds and 2 ounces.
Yeah, okay.
Zaire, a play fake, going for the goods on second down. Rison is open, and he overshot it.
This is the difference between a veteran quarterback and a rookie quarterback. He had Andre Rison so wide open on the play fake, it was unbelievable. I mean, this is what you set up the run for. Rison, right now, coming in motion. I want you to watch. There he is. I want you to watch how open he is after the play action. Bam, there's a play action. Look at him. All he's got to do is relax and make the throw. Rison is going to walk in for an easy touchdown.
Now Vinny Testaverde continues to stand, watch, and perhaps wait as Zaire dives ahead for a first down. Testaverde, the third-rated passer in the AFC. 10 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He led the team to the playoffs, 12 wins, including a first-round win over New England, only to lose the following week against Pittsburgh. And here this season, really after 2 bad games, Testaverde is benched by Bill Belichick.
And we asked Bill, he said, if things get rough and that man doesn't perform like you want, are you going to make a change? And he said, I'll do whatever I have to do to get points on the board. So I guess that means yes.
And he's not said that in recent weeks.
No.
Leroy Hoard close to another Cleveland first down.
But the difference, though, Tom, is not him right now. It's Leroy Hoard in the run. But, you know, here's a comparison. And naturally, the yards are going to be different. But, I mean, you talk about points, you know, the guy had the board lit up.
Second down, play fake to Hoard. And they drop it off to the tight end Frank Hartley, and he has another Cleveland first down to the Green Bay 33.
Yeah, very nice now by Steve Crosby, the offensive coordinator for the Browns. They're working off the run. They got the run going a little bit. That's 2 pass plays in a row we've seen off of that run action. And for the first time in a long time, they have got the other team going backwards. They've got a defense on their heels.
First down, and flags come down on the field. Leroy Hoard maybe gained a yard, stopped by Sean Jones. 21-3 Green Bay leading with 2:09 to play until halftime. And offsides against the Packers.
They might have got Brown or Durkovich down inside.
Offside, number 92 on the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Reggie White.
Reggie right there. Well, I didn't see anything unless he lined up in the neutral zone.
Well, it brings us down to the 2-minute warning. First half thus far that has been dominated by Green Bay. Packers in front 21-3, but Zaire and the Browns on the move. (21-3) Green Bay. Let's check in with Pam Oliver.
Well, Tom, Brown's right cornerback, Don Griffin, was taken off on a golf cart. He'd been kicked in the shin. I noticed the trainers trying to tape it, but to no avail. Again, he's been taken into the locker room. They're going to do some x-rays. His return is questionable. Back to you.
First and 5 for Cleveland at the Green Bay 29. Zaire to throw, steps away from trouble, drops it off out of the backfield to Lorenzo White. And he is close to a first down. Needed to get to the 24. The clock continues to roll at the minute 48.
See, this is one area, too, that the Packers have had a lot of trouble. They're last in the NFC in the red area. In other words, of stopping the touchdown. They're giving up 63% touchdown in this area.
Second down of the yard. And Lorenzo White will pick up the first down on the carry. So Cleveland has called a timeout. 1:22 to play until halftime. Green Bay leading 21-3. 21-3, Green Bay leading Cleveland with 1:22 left to play until halftime. A first down for the Browns at the Green Bay 23-yard line. And this is the best that the Cleveland offense has looked since Eric Zier's debut against Cincinnati, when he passed for 310 yards in an overtime win. And you see the numbers on this drive. Zier to the end zone and missed again. A wide open Andre Rison.
You know, this is the second play now that Andre has got something to say to his rookie quarterback about where he's throwing that ball. He's going to have Rison right up the screen, right up the seam. He's going right in there. He got in between the safety and the corner, and he's got to throw the ball earlier. He throws the ball too late, puts too much air on top of it. But this is what Bill Belichick has got to be prepared to live with right now. You put a rookie in, he's got to learn to do these things.
Andre Rison only 29 receptions all season long. Shovel pass to Ernest Biner didn't fool a soul. And he picked up close to 2. Now coming up on the Dockers halftime, we'll have all the scores from around the NFL, plus this week's installment of Choice Cuts. That's all coming up next on the Dockers halftime. Clock under a minute. Cleveland facing a 3rd and 9, trailing 21-3. Good protection as Zier now in trouble. Wow. Gets away somehow, but not a second time. Reggie White getting his 10th sack of the season.
And the worst part about that for the Browns is that not only does he not take the shot and throw the ball away like he should have done, but he takes the sack and gets out of field goal range, basically. This move right here is something out of the Three Stooges. I mean, this is incredible. You know, two guys running into each other like that, and then he tries it again, and in this league, that doesn't work.
And Gilbert Brown and Matt LaBounty applying the initial pressure, but always there to finish you off. The ordained minister, the native Tennessean Reggie White.
And what did he say last night? He said, you can't let a rookie ever, ever, ever beat you. And I thought that was pretty strong words coming out of him, but he said there's no way we can let a rookie ever beat us. So he's doing his part, that's for sure. He's got his sack.
Well, it appears as though on 4th down that Cleveland is going to go for it, trailing 21-3 with 37 seconds left until halftime. Cleveland 4 of 9 on 4th down tries this season. But this will be 4th and 20. Have to get all the way down to the 18-yard line, and he tripped over his own man. You think things are rough in Cleveland? Come visit here for a week. Hear from the fans, hear from the coach, and then watch the Browns play.
Well, like Belichick told us the other day, you know, it's not something that you could just leave at the office, because it really starts once you leave the office. All the drama, all the talk about the move. But he goes down on his feet, and now the rush starts to lay on him and touch him, because the first defensive player to touch him gets a cheap sack.
Well, Brett Favre will be content just to take a knee and run out the clock here in the first half. A first half thoroughly dominated by the Green Bay Packers. And again, very little Cleveland offense.
Absolutely. But even though Brett Favre kind of limps off the field, it doesn't matter, because in this offense, he gets rid of the ball so quick and he's spreading it around so well that he's using his weapons. It's not all on Brett. It's all on everybody else.
Quick thought in the second half, if you're Bill Belichick needing a spark to coin his phrase when he made the change Testaverde desire, do you now bring back Testaverde?
Yeah, good question. And I think he's going to wait and see how it goes this next series, but he may. See if he holds to his word.
21-3, Green Bay leading at halftime. This is the NFL on Fox.
All right, and welcome to the Doctor's Halftime. Along with Terry Bradshaw, I'm James Brown. Cleveland with a whopping 34 yards in the first half. Fans let their feelings be known.
Absolutely. So did Brett Favre as he comes out right off the bat. Dorsey Levens out of the backfield, makes a great catch, gets into the end zone. Packers up by 7. Then Favre out, play action again, holds the linebacker's corner, sucked inside. And Mark Shimura makes a 2-yard touchdown reception. The last 25 possessions by Eric Zeier, quarterback of the Browns. Net no touchdowns for the Browns and only 3 field goals.
Your guy, Jeff George,
has not made a big play in the last 3 big games. They had 5 opportunities against the Rams last time, but out he comes this time. Terrence Mathis, 18-yard TD. 1, TD, 2. Mathis, 17 yards over the middle, behind the linebackers, in between the safeties, as the Falcons have jumped out to a 14-6 lead and making big plays.
George 10 of 15, 135 yards and 2 TDs. Play flicker.
And Dave Brown let it go down the field. When your offense is struggling, you can't make plays. Find Thomas Lewis, who makes his first touchdown reception of the year. But back come the Eagles as Waters goes inside, 3-yard touchdown run. They take a 14-7 lead. Then Tyrone Wheatley fumbles at the 4. And then Fred Barnett with a 4-yard TD reception as the Eagles, and I mean they are playing some kind of good, 21-7 over the Giants, JB.
Looking for the sweep of the Giants this year, Detroit and Chicago.
Eric Kramer, what do you do good? I play action, I throw deep, Terry. Let it go, young, and there it is. Down, 51 yards. Jeff Graham drags him down. Bears go up 7-0. Now, 23-yard run by Barry Sanders. This ties Eric Dickerson for his 7th straight season of 1,000 yards rushing. Now, Pat O'Neill picked up, cut by New England, picked up. He's put in the place of a guy by the name of Sauerbrunn. He can't punt. O'Neill has his first punt block. Matt Millen, our guy, said he takes too long. He did. The Lions are up by 3, 10-7.
What did you say? Let it go, young. And Panthers by a touch over the Cardinals. That at the half. Washington and Seattle all tied late in the second. Tampa Bay up now by 10-0 over the Jaguars. New England trailing by 14 to the Colts at the half. And Jeff Blake and company doing the job 14 better than the Steelers late in the second. And, of course, when we come back, it'll be choice cuts. And welcome back to Hollywood and the Doctor's Halftime. You know, as we look back at last week's highlights, it's only appropriate that we focus on that upset of the 49ers over the Dallas Cowboys and the man who led the charge, Jerry Rice, in this week's selection of Choice Cuts.
Lost it again. Horn Dorn there to pick it up. I think Barry Switzer's in shock. I think this whole crowd is in shock. Touchdown Rams. For Carolina. 81 yards. Rice, touchdown from Gerbach.
And Jerry Rice is still running. More halftime after this.
With Pam Oliver and Ron Fitz, I'm Tom Brenneman. Our folks crew back in Cleveland. First half, all Green Bay.
Yeah, and as you know, when I think about, we talked about that rhythm and all that kind of stuff with Brett Favre, but, you know, you look at the missed opportunities also for Cleveland, and that's been a big thing, too, with Andre Rison, that missed ball. And you got to put it on Zaire, the rookie quarterback, just, you know, he doesn't have it. He's not all there right now, and that's what happens when you got a rookie in there.
Well, certainly the game being overshadowed by the Cleveland Browns moving to Baltimore next year, and more on that story with Pam Oliver.
All right, the legendary Jim Brown joins us, and I wanted to ask you, these guys' hearts in it, Jim?
Well, I think they're trying. You know, it's a very difficult set of circumstances, and obviously you see there's not the kind of a spark that we'd like to have. We had a little spark at the end of the half, and if we can keep that up, I think they can come back up to where they were about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
The offense has been dreadful. Isn't it time for a quarterback change?
Well, I'm sure the coach is considering that right now. We'll see what happens in the second half.
I know you've been a supporter of the Zaire being put in. Do you think that it's time for a change with Testaverde being given another shot?
Well, what I think is they got to try to win this game. I think it's been very difficult on the kid, all the circumstances, and he's really carried a lot of the pressure on his back, even the game that he won. So, yes, I think there'll probably be a change in the second half because he'll probably get ruined if there isn't. And I hope that Vinny, if he comes in, can stand up. It's very difficult on each one of them.
The move to Baltimore, do you support Art Modell on that?
Oh, I'm not a supporter of moving to Baltimore. I'm a person that believes that in the capitalistic system, he has the right to do it. I would love the Cleveland Browns to remain here with these fans. I don't have any aspirations towards Buffalo, and I'm not sharing in the money, so why would I be a part of that, you know? But I can't say he shouldn't do it. It's not really my business.
Dan, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. Words very interesting from the Hall of Famer Jim Brown. Vinny Testaverde, as Jim mentioned a moment ago, beginning to get loose on the Cleveland sideline.
Well, the big thing that Jim Brown said right there was if you keep Zaire in and it continues, you know, and not putting in that last drive, if it continues to go bad like it's been, then you will ruin the guy if you leave him in there. And you'll ruin him from a confidence standpoint and so on and so forth. So I think you got to make the switch. That may be going against what Belichick really wants to do in his heart, but if he holds true to what he told us, I want points on the board. I'll do whatever I have to do to keep the production up.
Well, here we go. Cleveland will get the football to begin the second half, trailing 21-3. Ernest Hunter out across the 25, slammed down at the 30. And so Vinny Testaverde will indeed come back to run the Cleveland offense. Testaverde in his 9th season, #1 pick out of Miami. And you hear the crowd reaction in Cleveland. Testaverde, the AFC's Player of the Month during September, leading the Browns to a 3-1 record. They went on a 3-game losing streak. He was benched after a loss to Jacksonville and now returns for the first time in 4 weeks. Leroy Hoyd picks up 4, tripped up by George Kuntz. How about this change at quarterback?
You know, I think that what had more to do with that change, not just the loss. Yeah, the loss was a factor, but the fact that they lost to an expansion team had a lot to do with it, too. And that's not fair because everybody knows these two expansion teams, Carolina and Jacksonville, are pretty well stocked this year. But it's just the stigma of it all, and you couple a couple losses behind that, and I think Belichick felt like he just had to do something.
Big hole in a first down carry, flag down on the field. Saw the frustration in the face of Leroy Hoyd. This may come back. Yep, holding against Cleveland. Hoyd had a 44-yard run called back on a holding penalty Monday night at Pittsburgh.
It's you know,
holding, number 61 on the offense. The 10-yard penalty, still second down.
So, you know, and there's one of your veterans. That's Steve Everett, the center. You know, here's a guy who hadn't cut his hair in almost 3 years. I don't think that's the reason he held, but right here, let's watch the hold. Yeah, he's under Jurkovich's pads. They're pretty good, but I don't know. I just don't see it from that angle. I'll tell you honestly. It just looked like he got underneath him and moved it.
Second down, and they drop it off the screen to Hoyd. And he is grabbed a hold of by Bernardo Harris, who's come out to start in place of Fred Strickland, the injured Packer, earlier in the first half. Well, the numbers certainly indicate why a change at quarterback for Cleveland.
Yeah, well, that's why the change at quarterback right there for all intents and purposes. But we talked about having to move the chains and possession, all that. Well, the 4 first downs are not keeping the team on the field or going down the field. And then this right here, not holding on to the football, not staying out there and working on moving that ball down the field. And like I said, I think it's a good move because you don't want to keep him in. It's already a hostile environment. Why make him subjected to that?
Testaverde on a 3rd and 16. Steps up, throws, catch made across the middle, and trying to get to the first down marker is McCardle. He does, and more. Out to midfield. George Teague finally able to catch up with Keenan McCardle, 4th-year receiver out of UNLV, and the injured Packard is Reggie White.
Boy, and I can feel about 1 million or so heartbeats in the state of Wisconsin just come to a screeching halt. And you got that man down.
Also had a late flag on the play.
Here he is right in front of us, 92. Let's see if we can pick up what happens to Reggie. Orlando Brown pushes him on by, and he ran into the back of Sean Jones on the other side. It's hard to tell what happened, though.
Well, it was a collision, White and Jones, which led to both players being injured 2 weeks ago. We'll be right back.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the new Dodge. We're thinking ahead. By Sony Maximum Television. Hear and see everything you pay for. By Red Lobster, for the seafood lover in you. And by EA Sports, makers of NBA Live 96. If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Reggie White shaken up, goes to the sideline. First down for Cleveland. Leroy Hoard running hard down to the Green Bay 40. There's a late face mask penalty on the back end of that reception by Keenan McCardle. And Reggie White still not checking back in. Here's the injury a moment ago.
It happened somewhere along the line of after Orlando Brown, 77, pushes him on by, and there's Sean Jones. And you can't see exactly what happened there, but if I'm Bill Belichick, I got to be thinking to start working that side where Reggie was.
Back to the ground and back to Hoard. Breaks it to the outside and has another Cleveland first down to the Packer 34. Doug Evans up to make the tackle.
Now, Hoard is a pretty big guy, and he's even bigger now with that big club of mountain on the side of his face mask. But I don't think that Leroy Butler thought he could bounce away from him and run to the outside as fast as he did on that play. And like we talked about in the first half, the difference is now they've got the run going.
Vinny Testaverde has started the second half at quarterback for Cleveland, and the Browns are on the move. Caught in the open field by Brian Kinchin, the tight end. He picks up close to 5.
And see, the thing that you're going to see, just because Vinny's in there, Vinny can't do it by himself. The holding penalties that happened when Zaire was in the game, that didn't have anything to do with him. Everybody else has got to start playing too. It's just not one guy. Now, yeah, Vinny might be the difference in seeing an open Andre Rison, okay, but still, everybody's got to play.
2nd and 5. Flags down again. Ernest Biner.
There it is. There it is, right there. If it is on Cleveland. No, it's not.
Oh, offsides for a second time today against Green Bay. Well, Vinny Testaverde has come out in the last week or two and has said he wonders the real reason why he was benched in favor of Eric Zaire. Bill Belichick says, hey, I told him exactly why. I felt our team needed a spark offensively, and Zaire provided that spark in the win over Cincinnati. But the last 3 weeks, the rookie from Georgia has had a miserable time.
And, that might have been the worst thing that could have ever happened to Eric Zaire, is to go in that week and get the win. now everybody feels you have arrived. And I'm sure from a self-confidence standpoint.
Offside, 59 on the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Yeah, that's Wayne Simmons, the linebacker. From a confidence standpoint, I'm sure he felt the same way. But oftentimes, you know, that just sets you up for disappointment down the road. And let's give Zire credit. He's gone into a pretty nasty environment the last couple weeks, namely Pittsburgh on a Monday night in Pittsburgh.
Mike Holmgren even told us he thinks Zire is going to be a very fine NFL quarterback. After the penalty, 2nd and a yard. Biner picks up the first down, close to the Green Bay 20.
Let's see how the complexion of the game changes now without Reggie White in it. And I think you'll see, and you'll realize, and just as I say that, here he comes back in. He must have heard me saying that. Rick Sherman, the defensive coordinator for the Packers. Yeah, you might remember Fritz was out in L.A. in '89. He's the guy who came up with that Eagles defense with 2 down linemen and 5 linebackers. He knows how to get the best of good talent.
Testaverde blows, and what a reception made by Rison, who on the break lost his footing, kept his balance, and still made the catch, and the throw was right on the money.
You know, it's not a sin to get the trip, but it's a sin to stay down. He's just going to run a little out pattern, and the turf's going to get him here. That grass down there, if you can call it grass, but boy, that ball had to be right on the money in order for him to fall like that, lose vision of the ball, and still be able to make the catch. He had to know exactly where it was going to be.
They pitch to the near side. Biner, not much running room, got to the 10. The Browns have picked up 5 first downs on this opening drive of the second half after getting a total of 4 first downs in the entire first half. Testaverde has hit on 4 of 4 for 41 yards.
They forgot Reggie White is back in the game. And I tell you, you know, you don't always see the things he does, but that time he bounced everything outside. You know, he may not make the tackle, he may not get the sack, but somewhere in that play, Reggie White is going to cause problems.
Testaverde to throw. Flushed out of the pocket, now to the end zone, and it's thrown too high for Michael Jackson. Good coverage by number 33, Doug Evans.
Yeah, Evans and Newsome, the 2 corners, they had a rough day last week against Chicago. A couple big pass plays. I wouldn't be surprised if sooner or later here, especially with Vinny Testaverde in the game, that they didn't start to take a shot, particularly on the rookie side in Newsome.
3rd down and 9. All at the Green Bay 11. Testaverde can't make the connection to Keenan McCardle, and then nearly caught on the tip by Rison. Doug Evans able to reach in there and get a hand on the ball.
Yeah, Vinny's throwing in a lot of traffic on that play, and if he comes away with something, it would have been just an outstanding catch. Because the defenders, the Packer defenders, were right where they had to be. They made him put some air on the ball, and that's been the difference. Hey, but Vinny's kind of done his damage in a sense. He's taken the ball down the field. So that's what you put him in for, and that's the spark that maybe you wanted.
Another 28-yard field goal try by Stover is good. So Cleveland, matching its point total on the opening drive of the second half that it was able to throw on the board in the first 30 minutes. 21-6 Green Bay. 21-6 Green Bay in front of Cleveland. Opening minutes of the 3rd quarter, and Vinny Testaverde takes over at quarterback to start the second half, and at least Cleveland, if you're a Browns fan, they come away with points.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line. Points, production, spark. That's what Belichick said he had to have, and that's why Vinny's there.
Stover puts a foot on the ball. Antonio Freeman crossing the 25 and out to the 33. So a spark also provided by Antonio Freeman, the rookie out of Virginia Tech. Green Bay, its first possession offensively. When we return to Cleveland, Packers lead 21-6. Our Budweiser game summary: Vinny Testaverde has replaced Eric Zier. And the Cleveland Browns still looking for touchdowns.
25 drives without a touchdown. They're looking for something outside of a nice big moving van.
Brett Favre, meanwhile, getting his first chance to start the second half after just a marvelous first half. You saw the numbers a moment ago. 15 of 20, 133 yards, and 3 touchdown passes. See what he's done the last 2 weeks. Screen to Bennett. And he gets about 5. Gerald Dixon on the stop. Well, coming up next, it's the second half of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. The Cowboys and the Raiders in a possible Super Bowl preview. Some of you will see the Saints and the Vikings. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. See if Dallas can bounce back from that shellacking at the hands of the 49ers.
You're calling it a shellacking. Complete with glaze.
Oh, yes.
Good standing job and everything.
Second down and 4. And Bennett denied the first down. Again, Gerald Dixon. He's made a number of big plays here today for the Cleveland defense.
Pepper and Henderson mixing it up a little bit. You don't want to mess with Pepper. Anybody that puts Pepper on their cereal when they were the kid, you don't want to mess with them. They'll hurt you.
Hanson, a native of Detroit, Michigan. Big plays for the Green Bay offense and the Cleveland defense. 3rd and 3. Throws to a wide open receiver, Edgar Bennett. Crosses a 35, down at the 34. Adams, the rookie, on the tackle, a 26-yard gain.
That's just a complete breakdown defensively. Everybody's covered around the field, and they completely forgot about Edgar Bennett. Here he is right there. Now, I want you to watch the white shirts. They don't even think about it. And that's the advantage of being able to spread the football out and getting a lot of guys out into the field. 4 guys, 5 guys out in the route. You got to have discipline if you're going to cover that kind of stuff.
Ball at the Cleveland 34 on a first down carry. It goes to Bennett. And he runs into Anthony Pleasant, 6-year pro out of Tennessee State.
Talking to Anthony Pleasant yesterday, he wasn't too pleasant about the fact that he said, hey, I just bought a house here, got a baby. You know, and there's no guarantees on our job stability next year in Baltimore. And he's absolutely right. You know, if things can change as fast as they changed around here in a year, they can change even faster in a new environment. And I think a lot of these guys in this team are not only trying to play football, they're worried about whether or not they're going to have jobs next year.
Favre looks off one way, comes back the other to his tight end, Chmura. And he's inside the 20 to the 19. Another Green Bay first down. Moore on the stop. Chmura quietly having a terrific season.
Mark Chmura, he's going to come right down inside there. There he is. He fakes the block, and that's how he got the touchdown. He faked the block and then released. The defense sees him block, and then he waits a count and then goes out for the pass.
Chmura on pace for a 56 reception season, which would be a Green Bay Packer record. Favre up top for Brooks. Couldn't hang on.
Boy, and they went after the kid again. They went after Jacobs one more time. Boy, Jacobs may end up in the burn trauma center tonight here in Cleveland.
Flag down on the play, and the Cleveland defense saying this is going against Green Bay. And it is for tripping.
Tripping, number 72 on the offense. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's Earl Dotson. Earl Dotson's been having a heck of a year. He got all that weight off that he's been struggling with the last couple of years. Now, this is the almost catch by Brooks. Watch the hand by Jacob. He pulls down on that left arm a little bit, but you know what? Robert Brooks got to have that ball. That's an easy touchdown. He's got to catch that.
Far side, finds Brooks, cuts it back inside to the Cleveland 16. So he'll be well shy of the first down. Langham and Moore on the tackle. Brooks, he's certainly not going to use as an excuse a broken thumb for the way he's playing, because there are a lot of guys around football that would love to have a broken thumb and have 3 straight 100-yard receiving games.
No, this guy doesn't use many excuses, that's for sure. And the thing that I've noticed in this offense is that even without a Sterling Sharp, they have got people stepping up and making big plays. And now without a Sterling Sharp, it's more of a collective effort, I think. Everybody's making a big play.
2nd and 6. And Levens takes the pass from Favre. He'll be 2 yards shy of a first down. Well, let's go to Hollywood. And James Brown for a McDonald's Game Break.
Hey, Tom, have Ron take a look at this. Jeff George looking one way, goes back the other way. Eric Metcalf, 3 defenders around him, 41 yards to pay dirt. 21-6, Falcons back to Tom and Ron.
Those boys may not sleep well tonight in that secondary.
You know, I think you brought it up, Ronnie. We saw that Atlanta team, despite a loss, gain a lot of confidence in itself last week in Buffalo.
One pass. Jeff George doesn't make a bad throw. They score and basically win the game up there.
3rd and 2. Denied the first down by the Cleveland defense. Anthony Pleasant able to get in there and make the stop. So let's see what Mike Holmgren will elect to do on what will be 4th and less than a yard, maybe right at a yard.
They worked on that right side of the line. They got the bulk with Gulverth over there and Dotson. But Pepper Johnson makes the play. He gets the initial hit inside. Nobody blocked him. And you can't let a guy, and that's why he leads the team in tackles, come down and make that kind of play on you. He was unaccounted for in the scheme. And they're complaining about the spot. Peppers doesn't like that spot.
He might have a pretty good right. Doesn't appear as though Bennett made the first down. And he didn't. Well short. And Green Bay will send out Chris Jackie for a field goal try. Packers looking to add to a 21-6 lead with 3:02 to play here in the 3rd. Will Holder Henrich spot the ball at the 18, so it'll be a 28-yard field goal try. And it is good. So Jackie has increased the Green Bay lead to 24-6. We'll be back to Cleveland in a moment. 24-6. Green Bay in front of Cleveland. Teams have traded field goals here to begin the 3rd quarter. So Green Bay to kick it off. Ernest Biner and Ernest Hunter stand back waiting on the Henrich kick. Hunter falls down at his own 5 and brings it out to the 20 before he's met by a swarming Green Bay coverage team. So we'll take a break. 2:34 to play in the 3rd. Tom Brenneman, Ron Pitts, Pam Oliver, our entire Fox crew back at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio, along the banks of Lake Erie, where this time next year there will no longer be NFL football. At least not the Browns. They're on their way to Baltimore. Vinny Testaverde in relief of Zier down the field and overshot his intended receiver, Michael Jackson. Well, the bad boy of comedy, Martin Lawrence, is now on Sunday nights here on Fox, right after The Simpsons. And tonight, the bad boy of hoops, Charles Barkley, is dropping by on a brand new Martin. Tonight at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central on Fox. Green Bay defense today Can't play much better. Leroy Hoard the carry on 2nd down and 10. Stopped by Reggie White.
Once again, Reggie showing up. And, you know, it's interesting talking to Reggie last night and talking about how much he has to work out now. He says, getting older, I feel like I got to start working out harder in the offseason. And that's some of the things that he's done, you know, from his rookie year in the league. He said he used to rely on just natural ability and brute strength. Now he gets in the weight room.
3rd and 6, and the Browns convert on 1st down. McCardle again the reception on the throw from Testaverde out to the 35. Well, this game is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the expressed written consent of the Cleveland Browns and the National Football League is prohibited. 24-6 Green Bay with 1:25 to go in the 3rd quarter. Ford on a 1st down carry. He's close to 4 to the 38. Koontz on this tackle.
But, you know, notice where that ball goes, though. They don't spend too much time running around Reggie's side. The game plan is to run that ball if you're going to run it, if you can, away from Reggie White, and that's smart. But I think we're getting down here to the part of the game where they got to start taking some shots down the field. They got to open this thing up. If they're going to go now, you know, being down 24-6, they got to start to open it up pretty soon here.
Now back to the ground, Ernest Biner crawling his way across the 40 to the 42 to bring up 3rd down and close to 4.
Andre Rison was yelling at the sideline, complaining about something. Maybe he wants to start seeing some shots downtown, but he was definitely vocal about something toward the Browns sideline.
Third and 3. Pump fake. Testaverde finds an open receiver. The tight end Frank Hartley, who stays on his feet and gets to the Green Bay 37. So that'll be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Testaverde has the Browns moving, but Green Bay's in front 24-6. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Tom Brenneman, Ron Pitts, our entire Fox crew back in Cleveland, where not only today the Browns are trailing 24-6 to Green Bay, but this whole season's been mighty tough.
Yeah, from A to Z, and it started off one way, and then it kind of, you know, took a complete change. You start off right there. Some folks pick these guys to go to the Super Bowl. You know, and then they hit the full stride with the win over Kansas City. And I think it started somewhere around the Buffalo game, even though the move hadn't been announced. I think it was talked about.
And now the Browns in danger of losing their 5th of the last 6 that they have played after that 3-1 start.
Well, right now, Cleveland, they're just trying to use the run to bait Green Bay up a little bit from the secondary and now go back to the pass. You saw the pass to Hartley, the tight end, 2 plays ago. Because they know they can't come out and just start firing. I mean, that's just too blatant.
2nd down and 10 for Cleveland at the Green Bay 37. And the give is to Hoard, who lost his footing, but he gets inside the 35 to the 33. For a McDonald's game break, let's go to Hollywood and JB.
Now, Barry Sanders hadn't scored a rushing touchdown in 16 consecutive road games. He ends it here. This is his 2nd rushing touchdown of the afternoon, putting Detroit up by 7. It's all tied now. Don't forget, Lions and Vikings, Thanksgiving Day. Pre-game show, 12 noon Eastern. Back to Tom and Ron.
Well, another dogfight in that NFC Central Division. All the Packer fans certainly keeping an eye on the Bears score today. 3rd and 6. Testaverde, good protection. Wide open is McCardle, and he can't hang on at the last second. Evans came in to break it up.
That's why when scouts go out and look for players, the one thing they want to see is a guy that's got catch-up speed. And Doug Evans got catch-up speed on that play. Now, they're working in the slot right here. That's where they are. Now, McCardle, he's going to have him beat for a split second. right about in there on that move. And actually, they had a double on him, and thank goodness Evans uses his speed to come back and make the play, because he had a safety in there and they lost his help. And nobody ever sees that you lost your help. They just see you getting beat. That's a great play.
They're going to go on a 4th down and 6, trailing 24-6. Testaverde, an open receiver, Michael Jackson to the 10. And touchdown at the 9 by T.
Boy, and once again, Testaverde doing what he was brought in to do. Somehow, some way, move the team down the field. Michael Jackson's going to come down and end up in this area right here. And it's just a great throw. He's got plenty of room, but watch the throw, watch the catch. Somehow, some way, Vinny is making the team go. And the most important thing is the guys on the sidelines see that the team is going. And everybody's going to start playing a little bit harder.
24-yard gain, 1st and goal at the Green Bay 9. Bynum. And there's Reggie White to slow him down. A gain of maybe a yard.
What did I just say? You don't need to mess around too many times running the ball toward Reggie White, because one way or another, sooner or later, he's going to do something to hurt you. And so all they did was really just waste the play on that one right there.
Hey, Bernardo Harris making yet another tackle on for the injured Fred Strickland, who went down in the first half. And Harris, the first-year player out of North Carolina, making big plays today. 2nd and goal. Testaverde to the end zone. Touchdown, Michael Jackson.
We talked about the timing, what Zier didn't have. We saw it on the play against Rison. With Rison, well, the difference now was that Vinny Testaverde knew exactly when and where he had to fit that ball in there, and that's what he did. Right here, Michael Jackson's going to run down, and that ball's going to go right in there. He's got to throw it now, because you see the safety T coming over. If he waits a step too soon, it's going to get knocked down or maybe even intercepted.
Stover on for the extra point. And it is good. So the Cleveland Browns find the end zone for the first time in must seem like weeks. 26 drives in between their last score.
NFL Sunday is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, where safety, reliability, performance, and value are never optional. By McDonald's, the official restaurant of the National Football League. And by Norelco Razor, for our closest shave ever.
Arena, the new home of the Cleveland Cavaliers. 24-13, Green Bay leading, 12:09 to play. Packers will get the football. Only one possession here in the second half, and able to get a field goal out of it. Very short kick. Freeman from his own 17.
Oh, it's got to be a clip.
And it is a clip. Wide open field for Freeman. Only the kicker, Stover, to beat.
Stover's got to stay alive. That's what he did.
And then what a lick delivered at the end of that play by Tim Jacobs. But more than likely, as Ron Pitts just mentioned, this one's coming all the way back. Yep, it is against Green Bay.
You know, I always wonder how a guy can hit another guy right in the back like that when you know you're not supposed to do that. You learn that in Pee Wee football. Don't hit anybody in the back. But yet, guys making millions of dollars in their 30s, late 20s, hit guys in the back.
Illegal block in the back. Number 51 on the return team, on the run back. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
Ryan Williams, the backup linebacker.
Yeah, I want you to look right around in here. Right there. There it was. That's on number 30, 37. Benny Thompson got hit by Brian Williams.
First and 10. From the 10. Barr throws. Edgar Bennett crossing the 15. And he's stopped at the 17 by Stephon Moore. Let's go back to the touchdown of Cleveland a moment ago.
If you're a youngster and you want to know how to throw off the three-step drop, here it is. The key is timing. 1, 2, 3, bam. It's got to come out of there. It's Vinny Testaverde. We got drama in the sideline. Another fan got out in the field.
And now a couple of more are going to join them.
There's another one.
Now, chaos in Cleveland. And we're not going to show you the lunatics who run out onto the field.
And that one guy had a pretty good stride. I bet he...
Well, Vinny Testaverde laughing about some of the goings-on. Mike Holmgren just trying to keep his team into the game. Mike Holmgren doesn't want his club to get caught up in all of this in Cleveland.
Right. Good point, Tom Brenneman. That was the drama and the problem coming into this game. Is that, you know, and they all asked us yesterday at the meeting, well, what's the mood like around here? You know, is the media down on everybody? And Mike said, hey, we got to not listen to that stuff. We're here to do one thing and get a win. Let's not get caught up in another team's problems right now. And it's interesting. You talk about how the fans have kind of, you know, abandoned the team and the resentment toward the owner, Art Modell, and all that, but yet you let the Browns stay in this game, get back in this game, I guarantee you the people here will come alive like they are now.
2nd and 3. Edgar Bennett dropped for a 2-yard loss by who else? Pepper Johnson. Let's go downstairs to Pam Oliver.
Well, guys, stories of the fans not showing up to support the Cleveland Browns have been greatly exaggerated. 73,000 tickets were sold for this game. Only 17,000 under the circumstances, that's a small amount, did not show up. We also know that about 50,000 people had been forecast to not show up, but that hasn't been the case. And wow, the Browns are giving them something to cheer about. Back up to you.
That's a great point. She's absolutely right. And like we hear it right now, all of a sudden, there's people in the stands cheering.
3rd and 5. Almost intercepted. That would have brought the Cleveland faithful to their feet. Antonio Langham nearly giving them something to cheer about on the coverage of Mark Ingram. And one thing that can never be denied through all of the turmoil in Cleveland, this is one of the great football cities in America with maybe the best fans in America.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about this play, the thumbs of Antonio Langham. The guy basically has no thumbs. He's trying to catch the ball with 4 fingers because he dislocated those thumbs a couple weeks ago.
First punt, and what a punt by Hendrick.
Great punt.
All the way back to the 40, but Cleveland will get great field position. Derek Alexander nowhere to run. Ball may have come loose, but apparently he was already ruled down. A 44-yard kick. And Vinny Testaverde and the Browns take over offensively, trailing 24-13. Plenty of time for the Browns. They look dead in the water at halftime, but certainly the spark Bill Belichick has talked about. Vinny Testaverde's come into the game. Cleveland 10 points here in the second half. See the numbers on Testaverde. First down. Reception to Michael Jackson into Green Bay territory to the 44. And a Cleveland first down. Well, coming up next is the second half of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. And what a battle. The Dallas Cowboys and the Oakland Raiders in a possible Super Bowl preview, or the Saints and the Vikings. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. 1st and 10, Cleveland. Wise in motion. Testaverde looking downfield. Picked off by Leroy Butler.
He can still run. Nobody touched him.
Springs to
Nobody
his
touched
feet.
him.
And lots of daylight. Butler racing inside the 30, the 20, and finally shoved out of bounds inside the 10 by Wally Williams. What a turn of events for Green Bay.
Huge play by Leroy Butler. Not a real smart throw by Vinny Testaverde. A lot of people look at Leroy Butler and they say that's a safety there. But Leroy Butler came into the league as a corner and played corner in Buffalo for 2 years. And he had Andre Rison step for step. Now Rison is going to take here and turn it up. And Leroy Butler is right with him. I mean, you can't be covered any better. but he didn't go out of bounds. Nobody blew a whistle. You see the referee saying, watch this, step for step. And that's how you use the sidelines as a corner or safety to help you. And Andre Rison, he's so mad about the interception, he cost his team almost 50 yards in field position.
Rison just standing there watching. 76 yards on the return by Butler. And first and goal, Green Bay. Edgar Bennett sneaks his way to the 5.
Oh, that's a huge play. And once again, I go back to the fact that Leroy Butler has cornerback skills playing back there as a safety. And that's one of the things that Fritz Shurmur, the defensive coordinator, has always had, is guys that have the ability to cover back there and hit and play the safety position. That's a huge play, and nobody on this team in the secondary, at least, has made those kind of huge plays on more of a consistent basis than Leroy Butler.
Butler, a 93 Pro Bowler. Last season, of course, missed 3 games with pneumonia. And back on the top of his game this season. They fake the end around far. Looking for the end zone. He smells it. And a touchdown, Brett Favre.
You know what that play reminded me of? The Atlanta game last year. I think it reminded a lot of people in Wisconsin that game, too.
Brett Favre in for the touchdown, and he gives his team a 30-13 lead, all set up by the return by Leroy Butler.
Well, they come with the bootleg, one of their favorite plays. And the thing about this is there's no pressure on him. He's got time. He's got time to pump fake twice, and now he knows he's going to go for it.
Is there any question that Brett Favre has become the leader of the Green Bay Packers?
Is there any question that Brett Favre isn't one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL today? Without a doubt.
31-13 Green Bay. Green Bay, a 31-13 lead on the road here in Cleveland. Brett Favre has thrown for 3 touchdown passes. He's just taken one in running. So Cleveland, it appeared, was climbing back into the game, but then the interception by Leroy Butler, a 76-yard return, setting up first and goal for Green Bay, and Favre carries in for the touchdown. Ernest Hunter brings it out to the 26. Let's go back to the interception.
My question on this play is, did Leroy Butler illegally bump Rison down the field? He cannot touch him after 5 yards. But you see right there, he put something on him. And he gets a little hold on him, but the great interception now. Andre Rison at that point has to become the defender. He's got to know he doesn't have a shot for the ball. He's got to go up and intercept and keep Leroy Butler from catching the ball. But watch Andre Rison right here. Andre, the whistle didn't blow.
Testaverde drops it off to Keenan McCardle, who breaks a couple of tackles, crosses midfield. And McCardle shoved out of bounds at the 37 by Mike Pryor. 36-yard gain by Keenan McCardle.
Keenan McCardle working on the drag route underneath shallow. They're working on the linebackers, and they got Doug Edmonds that time. It's funny how they will call face masking on the defense when you put your hand on their mask, but yet the offense can stiff arm in your face mask.
Good protection. Testaverde has Jackson, and it's a touchdown, Cleveland.
Boy, he's sparking it up, wouldn't you say?
37 yards, Testaverde to Jackson. And just when you think Cleveland's dead and gone, here they come again.
Then he lets one fly, because this is what he's got to do. He's got to go to the end zone. But appreciate the catch by Michael Jackson. And they're working on the Packers down the field, because this is what happened last week against Chicago. They got beat time and time again in the secondary on the deep passes. Zaire didn't hit that enough in the first half. Vinny is.
Stover, after a high snap, handled well by the holder Tom Tupa, and the extra point is good. So a 7:41 to play in Cleveland. Green Bay a 31-20 lead.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the 1995 Mitsubishi Galant, filled with your favorite things.
Back in Cleveland, Ohio, with 7:41 left to play in the game. It's a 31-20 Green Bay lead. Vinny Testaverde has put some life into what was a dormant Cleveland offense.
My only question is, what happens if he's in the first half?
And back into the end zone and down on a knee is Freeman. So they'll bring it out to the 20. Yeah, that's $1 million question right now in Cleveland.
Focus your attention on these two guys down here. That's Michael Jackson and Lenny McGill. Now, McGill is going to have him man-to-man, but for some reason, that stutter step got him to stop his feet right there, just long enough to get the play. And as a corner, when you stop your feet, you're dead because you only got two things out there as it is, your heart and your feet.
Mike Holmgren's team looking to, at the minimum, stay in the first place tie with Chicago in the NFC Central. Chicago and Detroit tied at 17 at last check. Dorsey Levens, a 2-yard gain out to the 22. Clock ticking at 7:25. Think you're tough enough to play with Young, Marino, or Elway? And tune in to Fox this week for your chance to become a backup quarterback to an NFL star. Visa's NFL Quarterback Club Week on Fox begins this Wednesday. Brought to you by Visa, the official card of the NFL.
Funny we should talk about that issue right now, backup quarterbacks.
Certainly. It'll be talked about a lot on the talk shows in Cleveland after the game today. Oh, no. Brings it out to Bennett, read beautifully by Gerald Dixon.
Boy, Brett, I don't know if he saw Gerald Dixon on the beat that time. He had Edgar Bennett all the way. Boy, and if you're Bill Belichick, are you kicking yourself a little bit and wondering what happened if you kept, or if you had Vinny Testaverde in the game the first half, or if you had him on the field starting the last 3 weeks? And you got to be wondering.
Well, the team was 3-4 with Testaverde. They dropped 2 of their last 3 under Sire. And you see the numbers. Look at the second half.
I would say they got a spark in the second half.
3rd and 11. Favre across the middle. Caught, but short of the first down. Ingram makes the reception, but a great tackle in the open field by safety Stevan Moore.
Stevan Moore, they're trying to get everybody off the field. Stevan Moore knew exactly where the first down marker was. And that's a situation where, hey, big deal if they catch the pass on you. Make sure you tackle the guy before he passes the marker. Good field awareness, good instinct.
5:35 to play. 31-20, Green Bay leading. Keenan McCardle stands at his own 25, awaiting the kick.
Boy, he's punted well all day long.
Number 25, it's McCardle. He's slammed down at the 32 after a 46-yard punt. And there's the name Bernardo Harris again.
He is taken down by Bernardo Harris.
It's just scary to me, you know, when you make those kind of changes. It's hard enough these days to get a top-flight quarterback. And Vinny Testaverde may not have the greatest numbers in the world throughout his career, but he's playing better in the last couple years than he's ever played. So to make that kind of change, you know, you really got to wonder, and you really got to be sure of yourself when you do it.
Even his teammates told us Testaverde, who's been maligned for lack of leadership, was becoming more of a leader. On the out pattern, Andre Rison stays in bounds. Clock continues to run out to the 37. Greg Newsome, the rookie out of Arizona State, the Packers' #1 pick, made the tackle.
Right, he's got to go into his hurry up a little bit here. You know, just under 5 minutes, clock running. They don't have a whole lot of time.
Testaverde, open receiver, McCardle, who makes the catch down to the 33. Keenan McCardle is injured He has been Testaverde's go-to guy here in the second half.
Boy, that is one incredible catch. That ball came out of there high. And McCardle went up and snapped it. Boy, he is in a lot of pain. Keaton McCardle right here in the slot. He's going to work right up the seam. And watch the safeties. They don't get a good break. But once again, I go back to the timing of the throw. Vinny Testaverde, a seasoned veteran. He's going to put that ball right where he's got to put it at the exact time. I mean, he throws that ball a couple yards farther inside. He's going to get McCardle knocked out. He throws it farther behind him, it's going to get intercepted.
Well, McCardle, 4 catches for 100 yards. And you called it, Ronnie. He is in a lot of pain. McCardle quietly has been a very solid receiver for the Browns this season. 32 receptions, now over 450 yards. And really the first chance for him to get regular playing time.
Let's see if we can pick up exactly where McCardle hurt himself. He goes up, gets the ball. I think it's when he comes down. You know, that's one of those hip pointer deals there. You know, nobody wears hip pads in the NFL. Guys barely wear thigh pads or knee pads because you just don't take many shots on him. But that time he comes down right on the side of his hip.
So the clock starts back up. 4:25 to play in Cleveland. Green Bay trying to hang on. 31-20 leading. Inside the 24. At the end of this game, Ron and I will select the Miller Lite player of the game. Vinny Testaverde hustling his team to the line of scrimmage, trailing by 11 with under 4 minutes to play. Catch made by Rison, but again, Newsome keeps him in bounds on the tackle.
You know, and I hope I don't speak too soon here, but you know, a guy who's been doing a heck of a job today, Orlando Brown, 77 on Reggie White. You know, Reggie's gotten there on that one flush out sack, but for the most part, we haven't seen the big hump move or the club move that he put on Big Cat Williams last week. You know, we have not seen Reggie White in the backfield too much on passing situations. And that's been a big factor in these last couple drives, too.
Cleveland using its first time out here in the second half. Big Orlando Brown, we told you earlier the fact that when his mother was pregnant in Washington, D.C., a Greek mythology teacher in junior high school level, she, before even Orlando Brown was born, gave him the nickname Zeus. Little did she know that he would be 6'7", 340 pounds. That's a big man.
But they knew he would be able to leg press 960 pounds. Yeah. So that's a little foresight, I guess.
Something only Zeus could have done. Testaverde has hit on 15 of 20. First and 10, throw to the end zone. He was looking for Rison, and again, Teague broke it up.
Yeah, then he put too much air on that one. You're not going to get away with that one on George Teague. The safeties on this team make the plays. Butler, Teague. Watch Teague at the last minute. Now, that ball needs to be more out here because now Teague's got a chance to turn around and get a hand on it. And when I think of George Teague, I think of that play when he was at the University of Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
When he ran down the receiver and stripped the ball.
And the Browns running the ball. Ernest Steiner, yeah, that was the '93 Sugar Bowl when Teague had the 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown.
And a strip on Lamar Thomas running down the sideline. Wow, what a game.
Testaverde. Again to Biner. Open field tackle, dropped at the 10. And Wayne Simmons, the man to corral Biner, who comes up limping. 3:15 to go.
You can see the drama now is to get everybody lined up and going.
4th and a yard for Cleveland. I don't know if he made it.
Boy.
It appeared as though the snap came before the rest of the line moved, and Testaverde appears to come up short. He has come up short. Wayne Simmons and Matt LeBounty.
See, now that's the case where they were in such a hurry to get things rolling. By all means, they need to with the time running down, but they also need to take time right there and line it up and do it right, because it's fourth down. It's a crucial play. And I think they were just in a little bit of a hurry and didn't take their time, and as a result, they got stuck. They weren't all on the same page. Testaverde's going to come to his left, but now watch the snap, and he goes before the linemen go. It's like they didn't know the snap count. They weren't ready for the play. Well, that's a time where you know, maybe you take time off the clock, you sacrifice to get the first down. Do it right.
Edgar Bennett will stay in bounds and carry the ball out across the 15. And the Green Bay Packers, at the minimum, will stay tied atop the NFC Central Division with Chicago. Still 17 all late in that game at Soldier Field against Detroit. But thanks to the tiebreaker, which is the head-to-head competition, and Mike Holmgren's team beat Dave Wannstedt's Bears twice this season. Again, a reminder, coming up next, the second half of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. It'll be the Dallas Cowboys and the Oakland Raiders. And a possible Super Bowl preview, 49ers and a few others. Maybe these Packers might have something to say about that.
Yeah, they will have something to say about it, I guarantee you. And, you know, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to Dallas last week, I think. Because they sat around and, you know, everybody read the press clippings about how much trouble the 49ers were in, and Gerbach and the injuries and all this and all that. Well, that's why the 49ers are world champions. And they did the same thing against St. Louis. So the moral of that story is, when you play the world champions, you better have your stuff together. And don't read the press clippings.
And don't run your mouth.
And don't run your mouth, because them boys are going to come to play.
Second and 5 with 2:41 to play. Cleveland one timeout remaining. And Edgar Bennett gets his 22nd carry of the game. And he has rushed for 67 yards.
Well, Bennett's got one heck of an off-season workout program. And he goes out to Arizona with a guy named Schrader. And the thing that they do is he puts them through this intense desert workout. He pushes cars, runs repeat sprints, and it's like a 6 in the morning to 6 at night workout for 2 weeks. And he went out there running a 4.640, came back running a 4.340.
Well, we will see these Green Bay Packers next week as Cleveland spends its final timeout. Green Bay Packers will be at home to take on Tampa Bay, and at last check, the Buccaneers were leading in their game against Jacksonville, so that could be for first place in the Central Division. Cincinnati, and then back-to-back road games against Tampa, New Orleans, and then home against the Steelers the day before Christmas.
Yeah, that's the man right there who's been a great acquisition to this Green Bay Packer team. You talk about having the players in certain areas. Well, on your defensive line, you got to have a guy that can control the flow of the game. One player, and that's that one player.
Third down and 2, they convert here, and it's all she wrote. And Edgar Bennett does convert, crossing the 20 out to the 22-yard line. And Cleveland out of timeouts. And for many of the fans here, almost out of hope. The city of Cleveland, the mayor, Michael White, doing everything collectively they possibly can to save this franchise. Although you speak to many here in town, the media, the fans, the prospects, Ronnie, don't look good. And I know it's a concern of many fans in just about every city around the NFL. Could it happen to your team?
And the thing that the players are upset about, you know, they don't want the fans to think it's them, because they want to stay. It's not the players. It's higher up.
Well, we'll pick this up when we come back. We're at the 2-minute warning in Green Bay. Our Miller Lite player of the game, who else? Brett Favre. Favre has thrown 3 touchdown passes today. He's run one in. You know, we were getting back to the fans and what they must be going through, the city of Cleveland, about this franchise leaving, Ronnie, and you were starting to say.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not the players. And the players, talking to the Browns yesterday, you know, they almost look like they had tears in their eyes trying to get that conveyed. And I feel somehow that it's been redirected toward the players and the coaches and that type of thing. And that's not what it's about. It's about one thing. It's about the ownership and the ownership making decisions. And unfortunately, as you look down on the Browns sidelines and in the stands, you know, they're taking the brunt of all of it. And what does this mean for the future?
Well, certainly a lot of franchises have to wonder whether or not it could happen in their particular city. New stadiums, luxury boxes, and money.
Yeah, it's all about money, but, you know, it's a shame to sacrifice the history as I look around this stadium and the great players that have walked on this field for the money right now, because I think that breaks a lot of hearts.
And it would be one thing if they didn't support their team here in Cleveland.
Right,
but
exactly.
That has never been the case.
Exactly.
I mean, you take a look at season attendance going back to 1994, as Brett Favre will just go down and take a knee, but the Cleveland fans, they drew the 5th most fans of any team in the NFL. Well, the Green Bay Packers have come on the road to Cleveland and walked out of here with a convincing 31-20 win. And for the Pack, they'll stay at the minimum in a first-place tie with Chicago in the NFC Central Division.
Yeah, and it's all because of that guy right there, I think. You know, you talk about Reggie White, you talk about plays being made by guys like Leroy Butler, but it's him getting the timing in the offense, being relaxed, and you could see it in the look in his eye. Last couple years when we've talked to him night before the game, he's always had a big sigh before he answered a question, but now he's got that look in his eye. And I think that look means wins for the Green Bay Packers.
And it's the 7th win for the Packers this season. Final 31-20. We'll be back to Cleveland after this.
Scotty just posted. All right. And welcome to the post-game show along with Jimmy Johnson, Howie Long, and Terry Bradshaw. I'm James Brown. Of course, the game you just saw, Green Bay winning at 31-20 over the Browns. Brett Favre, another outstanding day despite the tender ankle. 4 total touchdowns, 3 passing and 1 rushing. Other games and scores to bring you up to date on St. Louis and Atlanta. Jeff George, the man today.
Well, like we said earlier, George missed some golden opportunities in our first game against the Rams. 5 of them to be exact, but comes out with Terrence Mathis for 1 touchdown pass, 2 touchdown passes to Merritt, and then this great throw to Eric Metcalf. Looking left, safety got out of there, allowed Metcalf the room to get in the zone, and a great job of throwing the ball on the money by George. Falcons, 24-6.
Late in the 4th quarter, and of course the battle for the top spot in the NFC West. New York and Philadelphia.
Rodney Peete off early, 4-yard touchdown to Barnett. And this puts Philadelphia up. Back comes Waters, struggling, gets into the end zone, touchdown. And then finally Waters in for another one as the Eagles 28-19. And I'm telling you, this is a good football team, JB, the Eagles.
And no question about it, Ray Rhodes' defense, 7 sacks in that one. Rodney Peete, 6-1 as a starter. Detroit and Chicago.
Barry Sanders, 23-yard rushing right here. This ties Eric Dickerson for 7th straight season in which he has rushed for over 1,000 yards. Pat O'Neill, his first opportunity to punt for the Bears. It is blocked by the Lions. The score at this point, 7-all. Sanders back. 2nd TD rushing on the day. This one for 29 yards, and I believe it's how many on the game? 16 games on the road before he finally does score. Now, Eric Kramer out 1 yard. Touchdown run. And then finally back. Touchdown. Mikowski to Moore. And there you see it, JB, from, I believe, the 10-yard line. Lions win this thing 24-17. Bears went for fourth down. It is the final now, 24-17, as the Lions take care of the Bears at Soldier Field.
Every game a must-win for Wayne Fonson. They're doing it. Arizona at Carolina. Boy, is that a bald head of a lady? My gosh. Whoa!
Hey, don't be talking about my sister like that. Attempted field goal to put the Carolina Panthers up by 17, but it's scooped up. Aeneas Williams, 69 yards on a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. This makes it 14-7. And then Anthony Johnson with his 24-yard touchdown run, and I'm talking about a great run as the Panthers, the Panthers, 27-7. They have now won 5 out of 6. Not bad for an expansion team. Not bad for any team.
Extending their expansion record for the single season, new season indeed. Redskins losing to the Seahawks 27-13. Chris Warren, 125 yards. He has a field day against the Redskins every year. Tampa Bay Buccaneers nursing a 1-point lead late in the fourth against the Jaguars. And New England losing to the Indianapolis Colts 24-10. Marshall Faulk having himself a very strong day. He's got 98 yards thus far. And the Bengals were leading comfortably in the first half. Your Steelers come back 42-31 that late in the fourth. And boy, Jeff Blake, my goodness, they're scratching their heads. Some of you will see coming up at the conclusion of this postgame show, Dallas at Oakland. Others will see New Orleans at Minnesota. As a matter of fact, let's give a little bit of a preview to that Dallas-Oakland contest coming up. Jimmy, you expect to see what in this game?
Well, I expect to see a very physical ball game. You know, these teams know each other well. They practice against each other in training camp for 3 or 4 days. They play